IVM.
The reDiscovery podcast is an IVM production. If you like the show, also check out Paisa Vaisa, a show that will clear all your personal finance doubts from mutual funds to loans to SIPs.
You're listening to Season 4 of the reDiscovery podcast. This season, we get a glimpse into the travel lifestyle of our host, Ambika and Hoshner, as they talk about quitting their jobs to travel, their most rewarding travel experiences, their favorite homestays, traveling around Bombay, and also traveling to unconventional places like Bihar. This is the reDiscovery podcast, Season 4.
Hi, I'm Ambika.
And I'm Hoshner.
And this is the reDiscovery podcast. So, this is our last episode of Season 4.
Season finale.
I know. And we have a very exciting episode. It's very special because we've got some guests on this episode. And, I mean, they're guests, but they're friends of ours. So, it's just going to be like conversation.
A lot of yapping.
A lot of yapping. And it's on our favorite topic or second favorite topic or somewhat favorite topic, I think, which is all about food. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, every episode we have, I think there is food involved somehow. Even if there is no food where we've gone somewhere, we've managed to talk about some food.
Your mother said this once, that your podcast is only about food. That's all you are talking about. I don't agree, but anyway.
I think it is. I mean, food for us is a big part of our travel. And I mean, we're traveling around in India. So how can you not talk about food, right?
Correct, yeah.
Where we've gone to Nagaland and eaten like smoked beef in somebody's house. And then we had this epic like Kumaoni thali in Binsar. I think after which we just had to sleep for like, at least I slept
that was
for
I
like
think
2
the
days.
biggest thali I have ever seen.
Possibly. It felt very large. Then there was also those massive big thalis in Orissa, which I love
Very
the food.
different.
Yeah. And then there's, I mean, the
There was
biryani.
a Lucknow, yeah.
Yes.
What was that? Idris.
It
was
was the
place.
tiniest place possible and the dirtiest place possible, but the best biryani.
Ambika's, I think your aunt told us about it, your grandaunt told us about it. And then we went there and we couldn't find it. We're like, where is this place? Idhar, udhar, Google Maps.
And we're like, there's no way Indo auntie is eating over here.
Yeah,
and then later she's like,
the guy and he said, yeah, this dirty, disgusting
the shack.
place, go there and
with
eat.
the bones on the floor.
And then when we ate there, it was awesome. And then auntie told us, but you don't eat there. You take pack karke ghar leke aao. Wahan pe nahi khana hai.
She's all very, like Lucknow high society. So yeah, to talk more about food and travel and Bombay, all things that we love, we have our guests, Pankil and Sumit of the Woodside fame. And if you don't know Woodside in Bombay, then I really don't know like where you've been living.
Yeah, 2/3 of the Woodside
Two-thirds of the Woodside fame and the Pantry fame and the Bombay Vintage fame and now the Misty fame.
Yeah, we ate at Misty that day and it was really nice. We met you Sumit there. Right?
Okay. Well, hi guys, welcome.
What's up?
Otherwise, it's going to be us talking.
Yeah.
Yes. So, welcome. So, Pankil and Sumit. Now, we're going to ask you some questions, but feel free to just jump in wherever you want to.
When Ambika gives you the chance to talk.
Yes, this is true. So, now we're just going to go with this assumption that you guys are natural foodies because you're in the restaurant business.
My belly gives it away.
Yeah, well, I think Hoshner and you have some competition over there.
And we have Sumit who's so fit.
We're going to come to how Sumit is so skinny.
Yeah, that's one of the things we have listened.
Magic.
Yes, yes. What is this magic now we need to figure out? But being surrounded by food all the time, what does that feel like? And then, I mean, do you get tired of it sometimes?
I mean, are you always eating at the restaurant or do you prefer to go home and eat? How does it work?
I eat at the restaurants a lot. I eat at home a lot as well. And I eat outside. So I think 50%.
You basically eat a lot.
I eat a lot. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing to be surrounded by food. It's amazing to be in a space that allows you to get creative with food, and it's amazing to feed people, see them smile, watch their reactions, and make them happy. So it's definitely fun.
What about you, Sumit?
So yeah, my family's been in the food business since around 35 years, and I've always known I was going to get into the food business. It was, not only is the business bit important, I am quite a foodie as well. Given a
I mean, how are you so skinny, Sumit? Please tell me you exercise every day.
I was massive in school. I was more than 100 kgs at one point. But yeah, I mean, you get into college and eventually start, you really start, giving a little more thought to the fitness.
You are
bit
going
as well.
the other way. Most people, they'll be thin in school. Like, I was a stick in school.
Same.
I was a stick.
very skinny.
It was the other way around. I love. One of the amazing parts of this business is that you're around food a lot, and there are times when I'm actually eating out close to around. There have been times where we've had 14 meals a week, outside.
Oh, wow.
It has happened.
That's every day.
That's every
Yeah,
day.
twice a day.
Twice every day.
Do the math quickly.
Twice every day. And there are times when not adding to the 14 number, but I genuinely do enjoy.
Does it get old?
Clearly not.
No, does it get old, like eating out all the time? Or, do you
you have your favorites, right?
Meals?
So even when you're eating out, there are people who like to eat a different dish at every meal.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys who can actually have the same dish 7 days in a row as well. Yeah. I can, but having said that...
Which is what?
Which would probably... there were times when, at our office, I used to get a salad for lunch every day, and these guys used to be like...
Try something
what's
different.
with you? What is with your salad every day?
The same salad?
It was actually at one point. It was I was on this
From the pantry?
paleo diet. No, actually, no. It was just lettuce thrown around with some chicken dish that was made at home, and then I used to make like a salad out of it. This was one phase where I was working out a lot as well as eating a lot of salad.
That explains the skinniness.
Yeah, well, yeah. I do.
So
I
you
do
work
try
at
my
it.
best.
It's not
I absolutely.
You better
try
say
my
you work
best.
at it.
Yeah.
I do.
While he was going through this phase, I was having thalis every day for lunch.
See,
At the
now
same
I
time,
want to
I
come
went to the same
the veg
phase.
kolhapuri from Welcome with the naan.
Exactly.
Oh.
We love Kolhapuri food. We plan a lot of our travel around food. And we did this amazing driving trip down the coast of Maharashtra, where I think every point was plotted because of a restaurant we had heard about or something we wanted to eat.
We planned the whole trip around that.
Yeah.
We'll stop in this town because there is this one nice dhaba there. Then we will drive for 2 hours and then we'll eat there
All
again.
my trips are planned like that.
That's exactly how you should travel.
We were actually going to ask that. Do you all
So
plan your
yeah.
trips around food?
I do. So I research a lot before I go anywhere, and food is the reason I travel.
You're vegetarian or are you?
I was vegetarian for the first 18 years of my life.
Oh, really?
And then what happened?
And then
How did that change happen?
so I went to university in the US, and that's where I realized that there's nothing to eat. And
Yes.
I never missed being missed non-veg in Bombay, because as a vegetarian,
There's
India
lots
is probably
of
one of the
options,
better
yeah.
countries to travel in. But when I went to the US, there was nothing. And I hate salads. I hate leaves. So I
I don't
need
understand
something
these vegetarians
substantial.
who don't like
Bachcha hi
veg.
kya hai? Matlab, what are you going to
fast
eat? Like
food.
dal?
No.
Yes,
You can eat bhindi.
No. So
That's
there
very
are
exciting.
vegetarian items, but it's not as vast as
Not in the US, for
yes,
sure.
and they don't do vegetarian food at that point. I'm talking like 20 years ago, 18 years ago. It was very different.
So now you're non-vegetarian.
Now I eat everything.
And you plan your travel around food.
Completely planned around food. I book restaurants. I look up bars, restaurants where I want to go to. I get lists from people who I trust, who have been there before and have whose judgment I would trust. So I do my research before I go.
So is that in India or abroad? Or
Everywhere.
Anywhere. First thing I look for is restaurant recommendations.
And you're a big beer guy.
Huge.
I mean, like Pankil and
I'm
beer.
a big guy who loves beer. Yes.
You're not that big. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine. But I think in my head, Pankil and beer to go together, right?
Pankil and beer go really well
so,
together, yes.
Sumit and what goes together?
I enjoy beer as well, but
But what's the one thing? Bhindi?
You didn't say so boring.
Oh, no, I missed that.
I think like Pankil said, I'm doing a lot of planning around food as well. Annoying people, because every meal is planned in advance. And there's this one trip I took to Portugal where I was traveling with Aloka, my wife, and her brother. And every town I wanted to eat at these specific spaces. And they were very annoyed with me. But until we got to the restaurants, we saw there were these hidden gems in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, dude.
And then they realized that, wow, this is worth it. And then they
Chalo,
understood.
Yeah.
And then they started encouraging me at some point, at the end of the trip.
So I love planning also. I mean, I love cooking. So, I mean, at home I cook, and I suspect a lot of my friends are only my friends because I feed them. The day I stop cooking, I think I will have very few friends left in this world. But I love feeding people, and I think that's the very essence of it. But when we go to places, a lot of times, and when we travel in India, we don't always plan so much. There is room for serendipity, and I think we've had
some of the best
fantastic
places in India specifically you won't find on the internet.
Yeah,
You'll probably find it when you go there and talk to
Discover
someone.
it.
Yeah.
It has to come through word of mouth in these little places, and that's, I think, across the world. Maybe not in India as well. A small town somewhere in Europe, it might be this mom and pop establishment that's not listed, doesn't care to be listed anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's been running like that for 50 years, 80 years, and that's it. That's the way they want to live their life. It becomes a part of their life.
So coming back to India, because our travels are all around India, and that's what our podcast is about. What is one place that you have gone to in India that you've had this amazing meal, or something like really like you want everyone to know about, or you don't want anyone to know about? Then let's not tell everyone that. But like the one meal. I mean, I don't think Hoshner and I can pick one meal. But like I said in the beginning, Orissa, the food was amazing. And I expected like similar food to like Bengal or Assam. But it's very different. And I think that's a very underrated cuisine. I would tell people like travel there just to eat. Those Odia thalis are fabulous. If you want to bring some of that into a Bombay vintage.
Why not?
But yeah, so like what's your epic food memories in India?
So for me, so my family comes from Bangalore, and there is a hotel that I'm a part of, that I help run as well. So that's always an opportunity as well, because Mangalorean food is it's very diverse. You get a lot of vegetarian options that are more the Konkani sort of influence, while you also have a lot of the meat eating part, which is the buns, the fishermen, the Muslims, the Christians there as well. So there's this one restaurant called Narayani, which is near the docks.
I'm just writing this down. I'm writing this down.
Which is near the docks in Bangalore. It's the old part of the city. And if you go there and you have this crumb fried, fish, it's not ravas. I was about to say ravas. It's not the ravas. There are these multiple options that you have. There are these massive servings that you have. That you have a thali, you have rice, and you have fish curry. But after a while, you realize that you don't know why you're eating the rice, because the fish is the real sort of story.
The king of the dish.
And I've taken friends there. I've taken a lot of people. I've recommended it to restaurateurs who land up there, and chefs who land up there. And they're blown away by the place, to the point where when we got married, and there was this trip that I had to take to Bangalore. We skipped breakfast, straight went to lunch, because it's actually a working person's lunch, and it starts getting busy around 12:30 till 2:30, and then you don't have space. And the next thing you know, you're sitting there, and you have someone standing right next to you to take your seat as soon as you're done. And these are the best places. So I knew the story, so I got there at I skipped breakfast with Aloka, got there at 11:30, had 11:45 when we were the first people to get there. Had these massive fish pieces, two each. And next time we went back with the kids, and we had an even more amazing experience there.
How old are your kids now?
So my oldest son is 6, and the younger guy is 3.
So you have to take them again when they are old enough to appreciate.
We'll be doing these trips.
Or you could just bring the Narayani guy here.
No, believe me, we've tried to replicate it. It's there's a reason why he's that good, because the guy who's pan frying the fish, that's all he does, and that's all he does 6 days a week. And so it's real specialization. So that's the reason he's perfect at what he does.
It's all in the hands, no?
So you all run what?
Wait, Pankil has to tell us what is his
my food memories.
Or one epic thing you've eaten in India.
It's impossible. It's impossible for me. It's growing up, I have very visual memories of food in and in certain places, in certain towns with certain people. So it's, it could be a sabudana vada from
some roadside dhaba.
Yeah.
We had an epic sabudana khichdi once. Remember? When you're driving back from Maharashtra only.
Yeah.
This is, it's like that kind of stuff is more important in terms of what I remember as a child growing up and eating out.
So you said you plan your travel around foods, and you'll run 4-5 restaurants now? In
Four.
4, yes.
Yeah.
We have four restaurants right now.
So are any of your dishes inspired by your travels or inspired by food you've eaten?
Sorry,
on your
we have
travels?
5 restaurants right now. Sorry.
I was like, what
Sorry. No.
I am hoping Dolphy's not listening to this.
I didn't think
did you just combine Woodside in the two of them?
Now there's so many. It's like when you get beyond 3 kids, like 4th and 5th are like.
Don't say that. It's not. It's not the case at all.
There's the guy who doesn't have any kids. Okay.
No, but it is like having kids. It's just they come out kicking and screaming. You need to nurture them, nourish them, take care of them.
Oh.
Yeah. And eat.
Eat with them.
So are any of your dishes inspired by your travels, inspired by food you've eaten on your travels?
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
restaurants?
At least, I think a lot of our dishes are inspired by our travels, by our team, in every restaurant. To me at Woodside Inn, the pizzas, for example, our pizzas, for the 4-cheese pizza, the Goan chorizo pizza are all inspired.
That is my favorite.
Yeah,
there's Goan chorizo and there's pepperoni, and I can't decide which one I like more. But when I come to Woodside, it's the
Goan chorizo.
Get the half, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Get
do
the
that
half
also.
hour.
I would do that also.
And Bombay Vintage, there's a lot of dishes inspired by all our travels, all stuff that we've grown eating up. There is a sabudana vada on the menu. There is chicken gyros Sumit was talking about.
Sumit was trying to
love
do
the
the
gyros,
mushroom wala dhansak.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Actually, Ambika was trying to do
I
it.
have eaten the mushroom dhansak, and I live in a Parsi household. And even though my mother-in-law looked at me like
you're
I had
crazy.
gone mad, I was like, that
She's
mushroom.
like, what does it mean?
I said that dhansak was really good. Like you wouldn't know that there was no meat in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the mushroom added. I love mushrooms.
The thing is, with the dhansak, you obviously, when being in South Bombay and having Parsis all over the place, we had to get it as close to what we felt was, what a Parsi auntie would come in and not hit us on our head for.
Or the chicken farcha for that.
For that matter,
I
that
haven't
is
eaten that
It's
yet.
very good.
I
It's
like chicken
very,
farcha.
very good.
So we managed to sort of get the masala from this specific person who was supplying to a lot of Parsi homes.
Okay.
And eventually then got someone who was working with a Parsi house to come teach the team, and that's the reason we're feeling a little more confident about what we try to do.
Well, it's a non-Parsi who eats
congratulations
Parsi
if you
food.
get a Parsi to eat a mushroom dhansak. Whether
You're
they like
going to
it or
eat it.
don't
But
like
that's
it
the
is a
point.
different thing.
It's not about the Parsis. The
It's
Parsis
not
will
about-
obviously have a mutton dhansak.
It's not about the mushroom, okay? You just
It's just
come and eat
opening up
that
to a
dhansak.
slightly different sort of audience who would try something new.
It's
I agree,
yummy,
yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
It's yummy.
But the Parsis won't even eat chicken dhansak. Like, forget mushroom.
It has to be mutton.
Yeah.
Well, other vegetarians need to eat dhansak,
Arre, who
okay?
cares?
Okay, bus, there's Hoshner. Who cares? So on that note, we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's been another great week on IVM Podcast. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. This week we have a new history podcast, Echoes of India with Anirudh Kanisetti. The inaugural episode narrates the story of Gandhara, the melting pot of the ancient world where Indo-Greeks worshipped Greco-Indian gods. On Cyrus is joined by Varun Dugirala, co-founder and content chief at The Glitch. Varun recollects his early days as an intern on MTV Pakra, his many oddball jobs, and his new podcast, Advertising is Dead. Yes, that's right, he has a new podcast. Launching on the 27th, each week Varun will discuss the changes and developments in the business of advertising, branding, content, media, and a whole range of issues that exist within the industry. Episodes are out every Tuesday. On the Scene and the Unseen, Amit Verma is joined by author and journalist Matt Ridley to discuss the evolution of the universe, life, culture, our minds, and our futures. On the Geek Fruit podcast, Tejas and Dinkar slowly lose their mind while they're trying to process just how much they were disappointed by the Fantastic Beasts sequel. Last week on IVM Likes, Abbas and Surbi talk about Homecoming the podcast versus Homecoming the show. Also, we're reaching 100 episodes of IVM Likes soon. Share your favorite moments from the show with us and your most memorable recommendations. You can write to us at shows@indusvox.com. Also, send us a voice note if you can, and we'll play it on the 100th episode. And with that, let's continue on with your show.
Welcome back to the reDiscovery podcast. So let's talk about Bombay Vintage a little bit. I mean, like you said, it's a mix of local Bombay cuisine, right? And this is how, by the way, I market your restaurant, is that all these boys got together, they listed out all their favorite things to eat and they made a menu. So when you go and eat, you feel like you're eating all the things you want to eat. I mean, even I love the fact that you have this one bhindi dish. And yes, I love bhindi, okay? Yes, it's so yummy. And a friend of mine ate the bhindi dish and she said it was delicious.
Add it on top of the chicken ghee roast.
Oh,
and
dude.
have it together. It's
mad. I'm going like tomorrow now to eat this. But see, that's the thing, right? That menu felt very familiar. And this is how I tell people to go, because that menu feels familiar. It feels like you're eating a little bit like at home also, but a little bit more than you're eating at home. And I like that. I mean, for me, that was really important. So Bombay cuisine is very varied. I mean, there's so many things to eat. And I was telling Hoshner this random memory earlier that one of the first things I ate when I moved to Bombay 10 years ago was after partying of some of my friends took us to Amar Juice Center to have the pav bhaji. Like midnight pav bhaji for me is a very important Bombay thing to eat, right? Like you must eat midnight pav bhaji. So what for you guys? What is like that one thing that somebody should eat when they come to Bombay? Like,
so I think the
quintessential
Bombay street food there is insanely vast. I mean, pani puri is defining to growing up,
Ambika
especially.
hates it. No, you hate
I
it.
don't like the Bombay. I don't like the
to
Bombay.
me, I just see, there you go. So B Road pani puri. There used to be this
What
legend.
is B Road?
B Road, Marine Drive people.
So-
I don't understand these things.
So on Marine Drive on B Road, there is this used to be this legend of a pani puri wala, and I remember I with
I think
Sumit.
he's back.
He's back.
I think he's back.
We used to go to a friend's house, and he lived there, and we used to go hang out and then go and eat pani puris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, is there any quintessential Bombay cuisine? I mean, because
Okay,
it's so
no,
varied,
but,
right?
But like if you had to tell somebody, like I would tell people who came, like, or if I had a guest or a friend or a visitor who came, I'd be like, pav bhaji is something I feel like you need to eat in this city, right?
No, but so there are great dosas, there are great pav
Okay, so I'm
bhaji,
from
there's-
Tamil Nadu, so I
Actually, you know what? Yeah, I know.
For me,
But I have, I agree with you, Uncle. But still, there is. I mean,
The thing is, it's not about authenticity.
quintessentially sort of
yeah.
as Bombay-ish.
I think Bombay has taken, and that's what with Bombay Vintage I feel we're trying to do, is to showcase that there is no just one thing that can define a city.
It can't, no,
like
because-
Bombay,
Yeah,
where-
like
which
Bombay,
was,
correct,
which was
correct.
built with the communities that built Bombay, the Boris, the Gujaratis, the even the Anglo Indians, the Goans. So there's a huge spectrum of flavors. I mean, to some, a pork sorpotel will be quintessentially a Bandra, quintessentially
Yeah.
Bombay, or
And
using
yum.
bottle masala prawn pulao could be something that has existed in the Vasai village for God alone knows how many centuries, So it's very difficult to
to
me.
pick the one
Yeah.
thing. Sumit, do you have a thing?
I was, so you went all the way to Juhu, and you had.
well, I was living in Andheri at the time.
No, that's okay. So my entire family has been from around that Santa Cruz Juhu area forever. So you've checked out the pav bhaji there. What you missed was the Cooper Bhurji.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh no, I've had that.
You
yeah,
had that
yeah,
as well,
yeah.
So
They're talking
I
about the
think you should-
hospital canteen.
No, outside. So every night,
Every
outside.
night. You have
Every
pav
night.
bhaji and the burji.
So
Yeah.
when I did my MBA, we used to go to the hospital canteen and eat butter chicken because
Oh,
it
wow.
had
Really?
some
At-
really
at Cooper?
at Cooper
Okay,
Hospital.
okay.
That's
Well,
just
the
weird.
Because it's open 24 hours a
Boss,
day.
it's open 24 hours a day. It's cheap. It's hospital.
Yeah,
So it's just cheap.
yeah.
And we
That's
didn't
just
care,
weird,
right?
okay?
Is it any good?
I don't know
It
this
was
guy.
good. It was good. At least I thought it was good.
At that point in
15
time,
years
yeah.
ago.
When they were drunk and also
Nahin,
drunk.
So lunch and all. Lunch.
No, I think the Cooper Bhurji. It's there's a reason why people like it. And obviously,
I agree.
At that point in the night, there aren't too many options. So
No,
you sort of
no.
live with what you have.
I think they were
Yeah.
great options
Yeah,
in
they
the
were great
middle of the
options.
night.
I will agree on that.
So Cooper Bhurji and Pav Bhaji. Pankil is saying everything.
Yeah.
Hoshner?
I don't know. I think Bombay is like a huge mix-up of different foods. But what I like, which I don't think is quintessentially Bombay, but which I've only eaten in Bombay, is the barahandi you get in one of those lanes off
Mohammed
Mohammed
Ali
Road.
Yeah.
Opposite
That's not
Crawford
Queens.
Market.
Where else do you get it?
But the cuisine per se is not Bombay. I think you'd associate more with the north.
Not really. I think
No,
it is.
I think
it is
it's very Bombay.
inspired.
That's
It
something
is
that
because the
Bara
Bodhis-
Handi I've not seen anywhere else.
No, so the thing is, I don't think, nor have I. I've gotten into markets, in other cities as well. I've never seen anything like. I think it's probably come about, based on convenience, and based on the requirement for that sort of, the 12 sort of handis to be put together. I haven't
we
seen
always
it
take
anywhere
people
else.
to eat at Bara
Yeah.
Handi.
Yeah,
Whenever they come and
for
say,
sure,
"Please."
sure. I agree. I haven't had that sort of stuff anywhere else.
What was cool though was recently when we went to MP, which I have to say Pankil said, why would you go to MP? But Pankil...
We made that the theme of episode.
Yeah.
Blog post, you know.
Why would you go to
But,
That one statement.
But Pankil, epic food. When you do
Yeah.
decide to go, we will tell you where to
I've
eat.
been to Bhopal.
Well,
Bhopal is
Bhopal has
great
great
food,
food.
yeah.
Yeah,
I went
but-
for a like a Nawabi wedding, and
Oh,
it was
dude.
there was
Mad,
a whole roasted goat.
Yeah.
It was
I thought you were going to say horse for a second. I don't know why. When you
It was
made that impression, I
how
was
wide
like,
he had his
That was
arms
big.
yeah,
open.
it was
Goat
big.
like.
It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, so MP has some great food, and I think our last stop on that trip was in Burhanpur.
Okay.
Where Hoshner, I think, smelled before he saw or sensed these jalebis, these mawa jalebis. Huh? And
Have you seen these mawa jalebis?
They were
I have.
fried, like dark fried.
They're basically
and-
khoya, which is fried.
yeah.
Yeah, so for Hoshner, that's like
It
heaven,
already
right?
it's like I can feel the kgs be piling on.
And that guy, so these Burhanpuri jalebis, which are very famous, he has a relative who has a shop in Bombay and one other relative who has a shop in Delhi. So Burhanpuri jalebis are in
Jama
Delhi,
Masjid
Bombay,
area, Mohammad Ali and Burhanpur.
and Burhanpur. Yeah. So
we
this
should
is
check it out
something.
in
Yes,
Bombay then.
you should
It
check
is
it
there.
out.
Yeah, it's there.
So we've been telling people. So that was kind of cool,
It's like a
right?
gulab jamun, which is
Fried
deep fried.
sugar
yeah.
with flour.
It's like a gulab jamun, which is deep fried.
Yeah.
It's the closest way I can
Yeah,
probably
something
explain
like
it.
that. Yeah, I mean,
That sounds amazing.
Ooh.
though.
It's epic.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that comes into the city also. I think
Yeah.
that sort of makes it the yummy food space that it is. So speaking of this Burhanpur, then you guys now travel to source food for your restaurant, or how does that work? I mean, I was just curious because I eat at the pantry a lot, and you have this Pondicherry. I had to write it down.
Yeah.
Lobafu.
Lofabu.
Lofabu. Oh,
From
well, see,
Lafong.
I've written it wrong also now. The lofabu, which is yummy.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I mean, did you go to figure that you wanted that out, or how does that work?
How do you discover these ingredients?
So,
Yeah.
so the pantry we've always wanted to create, more channels for people to showcase their products, and people are. Our meats come from somebody who's passionate about making processed meat or mixed meats. Our cheese comes from a small cheese supplier. We work with small communities of farmers at the pantry to get vegetables, to get spices, to get teas, to get coffee. Even our coffee beans are sourced, from a small.
But who
farm.
does all this tasting and all that? That's
So
what I'm
it's
interested
Pankil.
in.
Pankil's tummy.
Sumit is involved to a large extent at the pantry tastings. And yes, of course, we all eat at all our restaurants all the time, and if we find an interesting idea when we're traveling, we're always constantly communicating with each other about, hey, maybe we should get this, and hey, I'll really love this, we should get this. And so there's always that kind of brainstorming and creative thought process sharing going on with us. So and we've had the privilege of meeting some amazing people through this journey.
So you do, I mean, so if I said go to Orissa and eat the thali, then maybe you'll bring some of that food, a Bombay vintage.
Why not?
Because I'd be so excited. That food is yummy. I know I've said this like 14 times already.
No, I mean, Andhra food is there. It's underrepresented. Bengali
Yeah.
food is underrepresented.
Very much so.
So there's still potential for millions of more people to access these cuisines in a city like Bombay, where your butter chicken is so. Everybody loves butter chicken, right? You go to any restaurant, Indian restaurant, and they'll have their version of it, their take on it, their specialized version of it. But it's these other dishes that are as nice, as fun, as interesting as say a butter chicken was maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I think we have a version of it. I think it's the ghee roast at
it is.
At Bombay.
It is amazing.
So
it's the best ghee roast in the world.
In the world.
So we had.
Yeah,
there
we have to
might
go.
be some
We have to
people
go.
who can compete that claim.
We'll test it out for you.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
maybe you guys should just come by and just test it out.
Yeah, I feel like I know Bombay has got a lot of different food to eat, but there's still so much that you don't get in the city. And I don't know if it's like geography or proximity. Like you'll get a lot of like interesting foods in Delhi, for example, cuisines like from UP, from Bengal, from the northern parts of the country that you don't find in Bombay, not as much. And I think it's on the rise a little bit. So do you think, people are interested in creating Indian restaurants that are varied? Because Indian food, I think, still has a very narrow
connotation
idea about it, right? If you ask most people for Indian food, they'll tell you the usual stuff. But we're like, no, Indian food is also Naga food. It's also Odia food. It's also like the little food from Mangalore.
Yeah, the Northeast is also terribly underrepresented.
Complete.
Yeah.
Northeast, yes, in general. But think of the number of cuisines that, see, you take Punjabi food and count the number of restaurants, and then you take something like Bengali food and count the number of restaurants. It's minuscule, the comparison,
Correct.
You're not going to find a machir jhol on every menu, but you will find a butter chicken. And, you were talking about Ambika, the idea of regional food and cuisines, I think, yes, for sure. I think people are opening their minds up, their palates up. People are traveling a lot more. You guys are spreading the gospel of you must go to Madhya Pradesh and try XYZ. And this, from your travels, people are listening. People are loving it. So I think there is definitely potential.
The food scene is like...
It's growing.
Yeah,
and we are
very
so
much.
happy it's growing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it goes hand in hand with the travel, right? People are opening up to more places to go to, different places to go to, different experiences, and food sort of plays into that very well, right?
I think because of the way Delhi is located, I think it's got a lot more proximity, like you said, to the northeast, to parts where people from other parts of the northern parts of India have come, and Delhi seems to be a little more open to these ideas. Bombay also, especially because there's a huge vegetarian population here. I think so. We've had like the South Indian food coming in from, say, Karnataka, while there's Gujarati food coming from Gujarat. That has been the only different food other than the other cuisine other than the Punjabi food that people have given a chance to. But of late, there's definitely been a little more openness towards, and this also obviously has to come through because of people experimenting, or restaurateurs, entrepreneurs, or pop-ups happening. The smaller pop-ups are the best way to sort of test the market out. For example, Bodhi cuisine, or for that matter, a progressive sort of part of a progressive Maharashtrian sort of cuisine that comes through as well, has now been a little more accepted as compared to say 5 to 10 years back. People were only eating a kadhai or a kolhapuri. So it can get...
And the kolhapuri you get in Bombay is nothing like the kolhapuri you get in
Kolhapur. It's definitely a Punjabi version of kolhapuri. And that's what it is.
And that's what... Tamda rasa and what was the other one? We had...
Panda.
Lonche and all that stuff in Bombay. I would eat there every second day.
No. And I'm sure there are places as well. I think there's places in
small
I've heard
places,
of.
There are tons
small
of small
restaurants
places.
in specific places.
But you won't find.
You won't know of them.
You won't know of them.
Yeah, so I think that's, definitely like 14 restaurant ideas already for you guys to add to the kitty.
Then Pankil will be like, we have 10.
So are you thinking of the next one now, or you're still like getting over the misty hangover? Abhi to now they move fast.
No, I think we're looking at opening more. I don't think we're going to stop. I think we are enjoying what we're doing. We love what we're doing. And I think that's going to continue. We're going to get inspired and continually get inspired and do more stuff for sure.
I'm clapping over here, by the way, for all of you guys who can't see me. But we're very excited. We love all the food that you guys have put together and given us. I think whenever somebody visits, people are like, oh, there's such great food in Bombay, and where shall we go eat? And I'm like, yes, we can go to Woodside, and that's always been my...
like just comfort,
it's just like,
yeah,
it's my go-to place, but and pantry. Especially if I want lunch, I go there because I'm big on like salads and stuff for lunch. So I go there. But now it's like, should I go to Misty or should I go to Woodside? And this is a very upsetting choice to have to make. You do realize.
That's okay. You take your pick. One night pantry, one night Woodside.
Yeah, I'll just be broke now constantly.
Yeah.
So anything that you want to tell people about, like one last food thingy, like eat this or go here or whatever. I don't know.
I think just be open.
Yeah.
I think people just need to challenge themselves when it comes to food. Go beyond the I think, and that's a conscious thing I think people need to do.
Agreed. I also need to do.
Hoshner, in the beginning when I first made him pesto pasta, he was like, what is this green stuff? I don't want green stuff on my pasta.
That was 10 years ago.
I will tell that story 20 years later also. And now he's like, Vivi, can we have pesto pasta at home? And I'm like, look at this guy, Yeah. So, Sumit, wise words of wisdom.
I agree with Pankil. I think people definitely... I mean, I'm not going to blame anyone for it. It's just that I think that's the way Bombay has been. There's been... we haven't had too many ideas that people have been able to sort of open up to. With Misty, we've primarily focused on Burmese and Vietnamese food. And the food's it's a lot more subtle, the food. It's a different cuisine altogether. And we've had people coming in and said that this is very different from Thai Pavilion, for example. So it has to be different because it's a different part of the world which has a different cuisine. And, you travel 100 kilometers and, the food changes.
Any of those dishes that you all find on your travels and
we actually did, so, for us, the entire team actually, so our chefs went and worked with Chef Duke in Hoi An. And, so for 3 weeks, they're with him. A lot of these ideas have actually come back. And Chef Duke actually has his own style of cooking, which is it's a variation on Vietnamese food. A part of the menu is, Vietnamese. A part of the menu is Burmese, and that Burmese part is coming from Chef Bomra, who's a great chef.
Crab vermicelli thing was... I think of
delicious,
it every second day.
I mean, I'm sure every part of, the Southeast Asia has its own version of, that sort of comfort food. So it's just that, you have to sort of be open to trying new things without comparing it to the closest option that you can think of. And that's what it comes down to. Are we trying to educate people? Absolutely not. People are smart. They know what they're doing, what they're paying for as well. It's just that, maybe it's it's how it's, the entire sort of concept around it has to be clear for people as well. And that's the effort we're trying to make so that people try new food and enjoy it.
Excellent. Well, I want to ask this one last question, which Hoshner was like, this is a very stupid question to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When you go home, what is that one home meal that you like?
I mean, roti dal bhat shak. This is RDBS.
RDBS.
Ask any Gujarati, and this is a standard acronym.
Is it really, or it's not just your acronym?
No, it's a standard.
RDBS.
Yes.
Roti dal bhat
shak.
What is shak?
Vegetable.
Okay.
Sabzi.
So
in Gujarati.
Dal sabji roti basically,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
sounds about right.
There is. I mean, just home cooked food.
Yeah. And you?
It's odd, because
silent.
Not really. So the thing is, I think, while growing up itself, it's very odd. But we've been eating soup every day of our lives, and it's probably...
That is the secret of the thin.
No, well, it's not. I mean, like I was saying, I was more than 100 kgs, when I was in the 9th standard.
Throwing your soup out. I should throw my vegetables out. My mother shouldn't listen to this.
No, so oddly, it's that same soup that has been made, at my house for the last 35 years.
Wow.
It's the same style of soups, it's a different soup every day. That to me is comfort.
Right.
Yeah, it's comfort. It's odd because no one really associates that with anyone staying in
No,
where
why?
people would be thinking, you're South Indian, so dosa. For example, this is the sort of, stereotype that you have of South Indians, that, they eat dosa for every meal of their lives.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Or that they are vegetarian, which is a stereotype Hoshner had.
Yeah, so our first trip was Tamil Nadu, and when, I was really worried. I'm like, what am I going to eat there? I'll only get vegetables, and I'll only get dosa, and I'll only get idli. But I think food-wise, it was one of the best trips we did.
In fact, Ian, I'm pretty surprised, I have to say that. I recently, Thomas was traveling, Thomas from Bombay Canteen was traveling to Tamil Nadu, and every second picture I saw was food that I didn't associate with Tamil Nadu at all.
Yeah,
it's such a stereotype, that people think it's, Tamil Nadu, idli and dosa, and dosa.
Correct.
So it's people like this who are really sort of making that change to, helping people understand there's so much out there that we haven't tried in Bombay.
No.
Yeah.
So go travel to strange places and eat strange food. It will be worth it. I think the message that we're getting here.
Or just come to Bombay Vintage.
Or just come to Bombay Vintage, yes. Which I can definitely vouch for. The food is yummy.
And guys, if you want to know more about how to open a restaurant, the thought that goes behind it, the hard work that goes behind it, check out IVM's podcast, The Colaba Cartel, where we speak about Misty, our newest space in Colaba.
So, thank you guys for being on our podcast and
thank you for having
ending our season 4 with all kinds of discussion about food. I'm fairly certain everyone listening to this is like, damn it, I need to go eat right now.
My stomach's been growling.
So is mine. So you can check out our blog for more food and travel stories. We have a cool list of yummy thalis from around the country that's on our blog. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. Our blog is www.reDiscoveryproject.com. So that's it for season 4. Happy New Year, guys. See you in 2019.
Happy travels and happy eating.
Bye-bye.
Did I just catch you on your way to work? Or did you end up pulling an all-nighter? Let me guess, you have a packed schedule for the day, the week, and probably the month and the year. That's a lot for your mind to handle, don't you think? This buzzing chaos also brings tons of negative thoughts, am I right? Try spinning that bottle in a positive direction with me, Chetna, on the Positively Unlimited podcast, every Monday on IVM Podcasts. It's time to change your life one alphabet at a time.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance. From stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday, and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.